The Mali Empire emerged around 1235 CE in West Africa as one of the most powerful and wealthy civilizations in medieval history. Rising from the decline of the Ghana Empire, Mali would eventually control vast territories stretching from the Atlantic Ocean to the bend of the Niger River, dominating the lucrative trans-Saharan trade for over 3 centuries. The empire's origins trace back to the Mandinka people who inhabited the upper Niger River region. By the early 13th century, the once mighty Ghana Empire had fallen into decline due to invasions by the Almoravid dynasty, internal fragmentation, and environmental challenges including prolonged droughts that affected agricultural production and trade routes. This created a power vacuum that ambitious local rulers sought to fill. According to the epic oral tradition preserved by griots, the Mali Empire was founded by Sundiata Keita, a prince of the small Mandinka kingdom of Kangaba. The legend tells of Sundiata's early struggles, his exile, and his eventual return to unite the Mandinka clans against their oppressor, the Soso king Sumanguru. The decisive moment came at the Battle of Kirina around 1235, where Sundiata's forces defeated Sumanguru's army, establishing Sundiata as the first Mansa or emperor of Mali. Sundiata's victory was more than military conquest. He established the Mandan Charter, a foundational document that created laws, defined rights, and organized society. This charter established principles of governance that would guide the empire for centuries, including the concept that local rulers could maintain their authority while acknowledging the supremacy of the Mansa. This flexible approach to governance became crucial to Mali's ability to control diverse ethnic groups across vast distances without constant rebellion. The empire's economic foundation rested on its strategic control of West Africa's 2 most valuable resources, gold and salt. Gold came primarily from mines in the Bambouk region to the west and the Bure goldfields to the east. These weren't small operations but major mining centers that produced thousands of ounces of gold annually. Salt, equally valuable in the medieval world, was extracted from mines deep in the Sahara Desert, particularly at Tagaza, where workers labored in brutal conditions to extract salt bars that were transported across the desert. Mali's location made it the perfect intermediary in the trans-Saharan trade network. The empire controlled the major trade routes that connected the gold-producing regions of West Africa with the salt mines of the Sahara and the markets of North Africa. Massive caravans consisting of thousands of camels would traverse these routes, carrying gold dust, salt bars, ivory, copper, and slaves northward, while bringing horses, textiles, books, and manufactured goods southward. The empire's taxation system was sophisticated and highly profitable. Mali collected taxes from merchants at every major trading post, levied duties on goods passing through their territory, and maintained royal monopolies over the most valuable commodities. The Mansa controlled all gold mining operations, requiring miners to surrender all nuggets to the royal treasury while allowing them to keep gold dust. This system ensured that the empire's wealth continued to grow while maintaining incentives for continued production. Under Sundiata's successors, Mali continued to expand its territory and influence. The empire incorporated former Ghana territories, captured important trading cities, and extended its control over key resources. By the early 14th century, Mali had become the dominant power in West Africa, but it was under Mansa Musa that the empire reached its absolute peak. Mansa Musa ruled from approximately 1312 to 1337 and transformed the Mali into one of the wealthiest empires in world history. His famous pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 became legendary, not just for its religious significance, but for its unprecedented display of wealth. The caravan that departed from Mali included an estimated 60,000 people, including soldiers, officials, merchants, craftsmen, and slaves. The procession carried hundreds of camels loaded with gold, and Musa distributed this wealth freely during his journey. The pilgrimage's impact was most dramatic in Cairo, where Musa stayed for several months. He gave away so much gold to officials, merchants, and the poor that the price of gold in Cairo remained depressed for over a decade. This extraordinary display of wealth amazed observers and established Mali's reputation as a land of incredible riches. Word of Musa's generosity spread throughout the Islamic world and beyond, reaching European courts and appearing on medieval maps that depicted the Mansa sitting on a throne holding a golden orb. Under Mansa Musa's rule, Mali controlled territory roughly equivalent to Western Europe in size. The empire stretched from the Atlantic coast in modern-day Senegal and Gambia eastward to the bend of the Niger River, and from the Sahara Desert southward to the forest regions of present-day Sierra Leone and Ivory Coast. This vast territory included major cities that served as commercial and cultural centers. Timbuktu became the crown jewel of Mali's urban centers. Located at the intersection of the Niger River and trans-Saharan trade routes, the city grew into a major commercial hub where merchants from across Africa and the Mediterranean world conducted business. More importantly, Timbuktu evolved into a center of Islamic learning that attracted scholars from throughout the Muslim world. The city housed 3 major universities, including the famous University of Sankore, and contained libraries with hundreds of thousands of manuscripts covering subjects from Islamic law and theology to astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and local history. Jen served as another crucial commercial center strategically positioned in the fertile Niger River Valley. The city became famous for its weekly market, where goods from across the empire were bought and sold, and for its magnificent mosque, which remains one of the finest examples of Sudano-Sahelian architecture. The Great Mosque of Jen, built during Mali's Golden Age, showcased the empire's architectural achievements with its massive mud brick construction and distinctive wooden support beams. The empire's political system was both centralized and flexible. The Mansa held absolute power as the supreme ruler, considered semi-divine by his subjects. However, the empire was too large for direct rule, so Mali developed a sophisticated administrative system. Provincial governors, usually members of the royal family, oversaw large territories and reported directly to the Mansa. These governors supervised local chiefs and traditional rulers who maintained authority over their communities, while acknowledging imperial supremacy. This system allowed Mali to govern diverse ethnic groups and religions without imposing complete cultural uniformity. Local customs and traditions were generally respected as long as they didn't conflict with imperial authority. This tolerance extended to religion, where traditional African beliefs coexisted with Islam throughout the empire. Religion played a complex but crucial role in Mali's development. The ruling elite and merchant classes converted to Islam, which provided several advantages. Islamic conversion opened doors to international trade networks dominated by Muslim merchants, established diplomatic relations with North African and Middle Eastern powers, and provided access to Islamic learning and administrative practices. However, the rural population largely maintained traditional religious practices, and Mali's version of Islam incorporated many local elements. The empire's economic system was remarkably sophisticated for its time. Mali maintained royal monopolies over the most valuable resources while allowing private trade in other goods. The empire used multiple currencies, including gold dust, salt bars, and cowrie shells, and established standardized weights and measures across its territory. Agriculture in the fertile Niger River Valley supported large urban populations, while livestock provided additional wealth and trade opportunities. Mali's cultural achievements extended far beyond wealth and political power. The empire became a center of learning and intellectual achievement, particularly in Timbuktu. Scholars from across the Islamic world came to study and teach, creating a vibrant intellectual community that preserved and transmitted knowledge across cultures and continents. The manuscripts produced and collected in Timbuktu covered an enormous range of subjects and provided evidence of sophisticated scholarship in medieval Africa. The empire's architecture developed its own distinctive style, combining Islamic influences with local traditions. The great mosques of Timbuktu and Jen, built with mud brick construction and wooden support beams, became models for religious architecture throughout the region. These buildings demonstrated both the empire's wealth and its cultural sophistication. However, even the greatest empires faced challenges, and Mali's began to mount in the late 14th and early 15th centuries. The empire's vast size, which had been a source of strength, became a weakness as communication and control became increasingly difficult. Succession disputes weakened central authority, and provincial governors began asserting more independence. The costs of maintaining such a large empire strained even Mali's considerable resources. External pressures also mounted from multiple directions. The Songhai Empire to the east began expanding aggressively, eventually capturing Timbuktu in 1464 and permanently removing it from Mali's control. The Mossi kingdoms to the south launched regular raids into Mali territory, disrupting trade and agriculture. Most significantly, Portuguese explorers established coastal trading posts beginning in the 15th century, providing alternative routes for gold and other goods that bypassed Mali's traditional trans-Saharan routes. The rise of new trade routes fundamentally challenged Mali's economic foundation. As European merchants established direct trade with coastal African societies, the trans-Saharan routes that had made Mali wealthy became less important. The empire's tax revenues declined as trade shifted to new routes outside their control. The final blow came in 1591, where Moroccan forces armed with firearms launched a successful invasion of Mali's northern territories. The Moroccan army conquered Timbuktu and other key cities, effectively ending Mali's role as a major power. This invasion scattered the scholars, destroyed many libraries, and marked the end of Timbuktu's golden age as a center of learning. By 1600, the Mali Empire had essentially collapsed as a unified political entity, though some small successor states continued for several more centuries. The empire's decline was gradual rather than sudden, with central authority weakening over time as provinces gained independence and new powers emerged to challenge Mali's dominance. The legacy of the Mali Empire extends far beyond its political boundaries and temporal existence. Mali demonstrated the wealth and sophistication of medieval African civilizations at a time when much of Europe was still emerging from political fragmentation. The empire's trade networks connected sub-Saharan Africa to the global economy, while its centers of learning preserved and transmitted knowledge across cultures and continents. The thousands of ancient manuscripts that survive in Timbuktu today provide concrete evidence of Mali's intellectual achievements. These documents, written in Arabic and local languages, cover everything from Islamic jurisprudence and theology to astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and local history. They demonstrate that medieval Africa was home to sophisticated scholarship and learning that rivaled any civilization of its time. Mali's influence can still be seen today in the languages, cultures, and political systems across West Africa. The empire's memory lives on in the oral traditions preserved by griots, who continue to recite the Epic of Sundiata and other stories of Mali's greatness. The empire's architectural legacy remains visible in the great mosques and buildings of Timbuktu, Jen, and other cities. The Mali Empire challenges many misconceptions about medieval Africa and demonstrates that the continent has always been at the center of world history rather than on its margins. From Sundiata's legendary rise to Mansa Musa's golden pilgrimage, Mali's story represents one of humanity's greatest achievements in political organization, economic development, and cultural sophistication. The empire's wealth came not just from gold and salt, but from its ability to create systems that allowed diverse peoples to prosper together across vast distances and over many centuries.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more engaging historical content.